and voice quality. A lot of people have had D-Star systems, networks, and so forth, and they talk about the R2D2 effect. We don't hear R2D2 on DMR. It's a TDMA, two-slot TDMA system versus an FDMA type system for D-Star, which is GMSK. So that's an older digital mode FDMA, and there are some P25 FDMA systems you've probably heard about that are also FDMA and IMDD. One of the other attributes is longer battery life. Because it's TDMA digital, the batteries last like 16, 18 hours a day. I turn my portable on in the morning at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I turn it off at midnight. I still got a charge. Each transmitter frequency has two time slots. It has two simultaneous conversations going on. And in each time slot, you can break that down into talk groups or work groups. And so we have multiple talk groups on each time slot. We can support data applications, GPS, simultaneous with voice, or email or text, and other data apps. So it's basically two repeaters in one. One antenna network, two simultaneous voice conversations can be going on in the TDMA system. So the cost of having two simultaneous conversations or two repeaters is much less. It's one box. No combining, no double duplexers. The bandwidth, a lot of people have wondered about the bandwidth, but basically the FCC emission designator is 7.7K6 or 7.6 kilohertz. So that's very, very narrow. The channel spacings are 12.5 kilohertz. Typically 12.5 kilohertz, but the bandwidth is 7.6 kilohertz. Now, I believe D-Star is 8 kilohertz, 8.7 or something like that kilohertz bandwidth. So it fits in the same type of bandwidth. If you look at it on a spectrum. So I think basically we're improving frequency utilization, cutting things way down. We can have 4 conversations going on in 25 kilohertz where we have one analog repeater today. Another concept here about spectrum efficiency is if we did have two 6.25 digital carriers on the air, in order to not interfere with each other, adjacent channel interference, we would have to have a guard band in between those two local repeaters. Whereas with TDMA, with DMR, we do not need a guard band in the middle. So we can have considerable savings in spectrum. Now, in the background here, you'll probably hear some chatter going on. This is coming off the worldwide network, the DMR worldwide network. We have a repeater here at the special event station, and it's networked. And that's one of the other advantages of connecting multiple repeaters together. But it's picking up the worldwide network, and every Saturday at noon they have this check-in from all over the world: Switzerland, Austria, Germany. This is the audio quality.
We'll go ahead and start on the East Coast and work our way across the West.
I'll check in.
So listen up for the call area and please come now. And when I go by call area, that includes both U.S. and Canadian calls. So if you're
see if he starts with
answer with the U.S.
6 West Coasters.
All right, K-User, this is DMR Mark Net, and it is 15 for Keep One America.
Special event station. So that's what it sounds like. He'll acknowledge each of us, but that's the worldwide net. Now, what you didn't hear in the first few minutes between 12 o'clock and this time is the check-ins from
Hi,
Germany.
anyone meeting, good morning Bill, and anyone IW, good morning Mike, and Mike reminds me that I need to say this again. Please do wait about a second to a second and a half before you start talking to allow people to catch up and see them.
At any rate, this is, we'll hear different stations calling it from various parts of the country, Hawaiian Islands and so forth as they go west. So that's the audio quality for this type of system. Signal quality, we replaced analog 25 kilohertz repeaters with a DMR repeater and had better coverage. It's at least equal and many times better range at the same power level.
Commercial, everyone has been forced to now down. Typically, as part of shrinking your bandwidth, you lose about 15–20% of your coverage as a function of losing that additional occupied bandwidth. So with this system, again, we're gaining performance over a 25 kilohertz spectrum, which is what we typically use in amateur radio.
Right, and yeah, I've heard narrowband analog and the complaints of people from users that had been on 25 kilohertz channels. They had to go narrowband for FCC regulations, and by the end of this year, I guess it's went to January 1st. So this is a better way to go. More features, sound better, greater coverage, batteries last longer. You heard the audio demo that we had here. Here's a little slide about the battery life, 19 to 34%. They say here. These are quotations from the DMR Association, which has created this ETSI standard, or is representing the various interest groups related to the ETSI standard. Data and voice simultaneously on 2 time slots, or you can have 2 voice conversations. You can bridge these together through, you have peer repeaters, you can have a master repeater. In this network configuration we have here outside the special event station, we have a peer that's going to a master. And the master goes into a bridge, and it's a worldwide bridge network of about 100 repeaters at this point. The growth rate is pretty fast. You can create statewide, region-wide, nationwide, and worldwide networks. So the groups of 15 within the bridge is a manufacturer of one particular bridge called the C bridge. Provides arbitration, provides talk group filtering. Some talk groups you might want to keep locally, just within the state of Massachusetts, or regionally, New England, so it doesn't allow those talk groups to flow out into the North America or the worldwide or other networks. You can have a repeater. This is a typical repeater, UHF or VHF PDMA, that can be dual mode. It can operate 2 time slots in digital, or it can operate in analog. Either 12.5 kilohertz or 25 kilohertz amateur bands. Typically, if we want a network, we really don't want to have analog. We prefer not to have any time sharing. We want to go 100% digital from the get-go. Text messaging is another feature between radios. Periodically, I get an alert on my radio that says DX alert. Go chase DX, or meet at specific restaurants or something like that. You can have pre-canned messages for quicker things. These radios are built for the commercial market, so they're rugged. They're FCC Part 90 type accepted, and they are adapted to amateur operation. They cover our frequency range, so it's been a much lower cost migration for amateur radio. A lot of amateur groups went to 225, plus the 225 equipment is pretty high, and networking it is even more exorbitant. This is a fairly low-cost way to get into digital radio and networking. There's a system of international IDs that have been created, and there's a user group organization that's coordinating and keeping the database, assigning ID numbers. And it's basically along the lines of a GSM numbering scheme, especially throughout Europe. But these are some of the numbers here that we have for Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, years, and there is in every radio, just like your cell phone, you can have a contact list. So you can customize that contact list with names or call signs, and we call it an alias list. And you can download the alias list of all the call signs of everybody that's registered, and put it into the radio. Or you can manually put it in the radio. So these are a few differences with D-Star, where you program your calls into the radio. You can have automatic roaming. That's another neat feature. If you're traveling someplace across the U.S. and you don't know what the repeater coverages are in Kentucky or Tennessee, you can put the radio in roam mode. So it's looking for the nearest system with the strongest signal, the best signal, and it locks on that, and samples every now and then, building a list to see what repeater to switch to. So that's a really neat thing. We've had, I'm not sure Mike is here, but Mike N1IW drove across the American Thruway and through Canada into Michigan, and he had no clue what repeaters he was near, and the radio found him. International ID database is maintained by an organization called DMR. That was started as a group of Motorola amateur radio clubs out in Chicago and Plantation, Florida, and Germany. And then it expanded by a lot of digital radio aficionados. But that organization decided that it would be good to not have any chaos and have some order to the numbering schemes, so that you know if you saw an ID number come up, you know what part of the world that was coming from and what state it was coming from. And as I say, you can download that numbering scheme with the call signs and names. So this is the Motorola Club. It's a group of clubs and other private computer owners. Right now, about 100 sites scattered around the U.S., Germany, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, Spain, Switzerland, Austria, Finland, Canada, Hawaiian Islands. So if you listen down here, the Hawaiian Islands are probably waking up right now. The Australians are sleeping. They're on at night. It's 100% pure digital. I looked this morning and there were 1,992 registered users in the user database, so almost 2,000. And this is the website DMR-Mark, where you can get a lot of information. I can show you that website. I can cut over to it here. It's of resources, the databases are there, the contact list, there's sample code plugs. There's also a last user, a last heard list, so you can see who's talking on the radio. The screen resolution isn't quite right for this setup for the projector, but there's a last heard list. So as these guys are talking on here, never mind. Got the boot off of the Holiday Inn network. At any rate, we this somewhere. Windows 7 is the anyway, you would see a website, DMR. You can Google that. Lots of good information on there. So there's also a repeater, Google pin map. This is there's a lot of pins on the U.S. over here in Europe, Scandinavia, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. So these are some of the sites that have been coming up on the air pretty quickly. There's 3 over here in the Hawaiian Islands, 3 pins. So you can take a look at that map. If you zoom in on it, you can spread this out and then pick a pin and click on it, and you get the frequencies, and you get the, in many cases, the coverage map of each of those repeaters. Here are some of the local ones. Now, I know you sent me a note last night, Lee. Is that right? Is that
It's actually going to be replaced with a 2-meter repeater.
okay?
Bill here is actually volunteered to
Actually on my notes. Okay, so this is in Smith. This is in Smithtown, and but there will be a 2-meter repeater there at Cumberland.
correct.
So this is some of the local activities that are going on. There are tools for controlling and diagnostics on your repeaters. This is one tool called the RDAC, Repeater Diagnostic and Control. And this is a display of many of the network repeaters across the U.S. Right there. There's another tool that shows you who's talking and from where. It's GenWatch Turbo, by a company called Genesis. And then there's custom program software called CPS for different radios. There's some Motorola radios here. This is a mobile back here, and these are portable. And here's a real tiny one. It looks like a cell phone. This is a slimline type of radio. So you can program the frequencies and features with the program software. Here is Hytera. The Hytera radios over here. And this CPS looks very similar. So you've probably programmed many radios before. Here's a picture of mobile. This was N1IW's mobile, and he taught me while I was transmitting, so he took a photograph of the front panel of the radio. So the ID, call sign and name comes up in the talk group. This is the local talk group on this Motorola amateur radio club. Here's a Hytera MD782 mobile. Here's a Tate company from New Zealand. They have DMR radios. This is a trunking version. Some of you may not was what I just showed you, the Slimline portable. It's a 2-watt UHF. This is a 4-watt UHF or VHF. 7550. Hytera ED782. Yeah.
8782, there's also a Harris radio that I'm passing around right now. It's literally the same form factor. Harris is doing the legwork in the United States to have onshore support for these Hytera radios. So what that's really going to offer us as hams is localized support for international radio. Functions or features that will be implemented down the road that are going to be unique to us as hams. So again, they're built on the same platform. They'll look virtually identical. They're built on that same platform.
Yep, and here is the tape trunking version. And the repeaters. Here's a 100-watt MTR 3000 DMR repeater. Here's the tape DMR repeater. This has 2 repeaters in this rack. So it's
2 50-watt repeaters and 2 100-watt repeaters and a 5 RU.
This Motorola 8400. In fact, that's the one we have out here that is running here at the special event station. We just grabbed it, brought it in, and plugged it in. It was really plug and play, and it was on the network. 150 watts. Here's a Hytera 982. Is that correct?
Yep, that's the 982, and actually Will here, gave me one of this, actually has one running in his vehicle, with a cellular modem, and it's tied into the Hytera digital radio.
So we got 2 different repeaters. One's networked by cellular modem. The one in the W1A station is networked by Wi-Fi. So, it's amazing. It's very flexible. So those are repeaters, and we'll demonstrate in a minute here the compatibility so that we can talk portable to portable simplex. We can talk portable to portable Hytera to Motorola through the Hytera repeater, portable to portable to the Motorola repeater, and so that's the standard, the DMR XE standard. Amongst many manufacturers as opposed to Hytera, which is just one radio manufacturer. Here's a low power portable repeater. Is that the one you have out there?
That's not available yet.
Oh,
It's not available yet, it's pending, acceptance. It's actually, demonstrated last year. It's actually a water repeater, it's completely portable. So, it's got a built-in 10-amp-hour battery pack. Lithium polymer, weighs about 3 pounds.
I guess that's a picture of it on
It comes with a
the
backpack, so you thought an interesting way for our NESMEC guys to go ahead and coordinate that.
That's an intro to the next session, which will be the NESMIC frequency coordination session. But where's Waldo? Where's the repeater? It's moving. It's a moving target. Anyway, there are ham-friendly dealers around. Beltronics. That's Lee's organization. There's another one up in New Hampshire, CENTCOM. There's Sandy's is out on the West Coast. Rayfield is in Missouri. You just tell them that you're in a ham club, and they will give you some special prices. So you're not going to use it commercially. You're not going to resell it commercially to impact their normal business, but it opens up a new market for them. A lower margin market, but still, it's a public service really for them to support amateur radio. So that, I think, was everything I had, but we'll probably have a few more things to say here. We have some handouts we'll put on the table.
I've got some handouts here on the Hytera radios that give the contact information on them, so if any of you want to grab some of those after.
The only question is, will the Hytera radios talk on the DMR Mark system?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're interchangeable.
Oh, yeah, and really, and we've got Vertex radios on the DMR Mark system, we've got Hytera radios, we've got tape radios.
All programmed with the same user IDs and,
Yeah, I mean, you can get a user ID from the DMR database. You get assigned a user ID, and you program it into the radio with CPS, that user ID, and it will come up. I saw a leak on the repeater today, N3 LED, his ID from the Hytera radio came up.
So again, that's listening to Bill's Motorola repeater on the worldwide network.
yeah, 'cause I'm currently on D-Star right now. I'm looking at alternative down the road.
Say it again.
I said I'm currently on D-Star, home router gateway, and I'm looking at alternatives down the road, because I live up in central Maine, there is basically nothing.
Yeah.
The nice thing about DMR versus, proprietary solution is that there are options. Right now, there are some limitations on the, what I like to call the network side of things, the Ethernet side that links all these repeaters together. There are defined standards. Some vendors have gone a different direction with them. So until we get like a really open platform, the bottom line is that there are APIs. It is all basically Linux machine language. There will eventually be a gateway that bridge between DMR Mark and like a Hytera network. We can get them all bridged in.
Yeah, but as long as the radios, I can pick up a Hytera radio if I ever come down in this area.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think the Hytera radio is probably easier to get the code plug software from versus Motorola.
Well, you can get software, in fact, all over here, just set up, you have to set up an MOL account, Motorola Online, and you can download the software, okay? So he's just done it.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's an additional cost with the Motorola software.
Oh, there is. But if you get, oh, yeah. Right, what is a 3-year subscription, to any updates that come along. And if you have a club, and that's what we have, as a club, everybody kicks in a donation to buy that software. So, okay, welcome to networks, and there are a lot of networks out there. Here's a list of networks. I'll just say, there's a Turbo 6 network, there's a DCI network, these are all DMR networks. San Francisco, Northern California, NorCal, DMR Mark, North Carolina, PRN, I'm not sure what the PRN means, public radio network. Anyway, Arizona TurboNet, Michigan Moto Turbo, area, repeater group is San Francisco, Northern California group. K0 USY is a Kansas network. KC2 CQR ham radio group is a New York City group. Rocky Mountain ham radio, which is around Denver, and W6TRW group. So those are some of the existing networks up, and the description of how many repeaters are in each network. And
are these typically networks into themselves, not in the worldwide network all the time necessarily? Or?
Well, the interesting thing, many of these networks do have bought bridges so that they can connect some time slots over into the worldwide network for the every Saturday night network for draw into the worldwide network. So there are many that have bridged. They're called bridging partners. So
they could be part-time if they want.
They could be part-time, yes. In fact, a few of them are. That's the network. And I have some FAQs here.
Is it more difficult to find radios for the 2-meter range than
I can only speak on behalf of the Hytera products, the Harris products, 136 to 174.
Yeah.
This is actually the VHF one.
Yeah. And this is a VHF one here. So this is VHF, this is UHF. Yeah. And that's VHF, and this is UHF. So. And I think one of the slides alluded to, and maybe some other amateur-oriented manufacturers. Well, Yaesu indicated and threw down the gauntlet back in January. I think they published a booklet about DMR coming out with a digital portable. Well, they came out with a digital portable, but it's not DMR yet. They brought it to Dayton, and they brought it to some other ham fest recently, and it is not ready yet. In fact, maybe it's out here in their rules, but
No, I asked it back, they didn't have it.
they didn't have it here.
Yeah.
But, someone said that they'll have it in November, was it you, Joe?
Yeah, he said the FD1B would be available in November, but no
Yeah.
plans for TDMA.
Yeah, available in November, but ultimately, it was part of their game plan to come out with a dual band TDMA.
Well, I guess that counts, Rob, you know.
Okay,
Phil, what's the price point on these radios?
well, the price point, this particular one, this VHF 2 meters, was $395.
Not bad.
Okay?
Does that have GPS in it?
This one does not. This one has GPS. Okay, so, many cams don't really need or want GPS, don't wanna be dragged. So that already applies 128 channels. It's got, call alerting, some lesser data capabilities, but it's, and it has a display, call sign display.
How much is the software program?
I've got a D-Star 4 with its corresponding GPS mic, and it was about twice the price of what that radio ran. To buy.
Really?
I got an IC92.
This is the GPS version, and who bought is, Walt?
We booked this.
VHF?
Yeah.
What was it?
About 600, that's what it's.
About 595 or something like that.
With GPS, and it's 1,000 channels. And it's got full text messaging, and you can hook a laptop up to it and send data files.
Call Jeff at Sandy, he'll give you a great price.
Well, that's on the ham-friendly sheet, which I had up there before, but, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, the other option, like I said.
Phil, you got some questions back here?
Yeah, let's go over here.
Yeah, one thing I find absolutely baffling is that nobody seems to be making use of the two slot TDMA to get rid of the cans, make it frequency agile so that any mobile or any HT in a pinch could be a repeater. That's very important to ham public service operations. Is there some reason why they still do frequency duplex instead of using time division repeating on a single channel?
Just because I guess it was more conventional, but you're right, you could, transmit and receive simultaneously with TDMA. Yeah,
And then you don't need duplexes or
just the
cans.
manufacturers haven't, monopolized
Yeah,
it.
they haven't really gone after that, only because the conventional market they're replacing, again, they're looking for one-to-one transition from analog to digital. So you're replacing an analog repeater. The easiest way to get the product into the field is to replace an analog product with a digital product. And right now, that's the current offering. The other thing that really I wanted to bring up is that all these radios are software defined. So when there's a new firmware release offered, literally it takes 5 minutes to load firmware update into this radio. Any new features that are part of the protocol, or changes to the protocol, or change the way the radio acts, are all part of that firmware release. So again, an operational change like that could be implemented down the road with just firmware, because the radio is completely software defined.
Well, that brings up the next question: is the platform documented so that new firmware can be written without relying on a single source?
I can speak at least on behalf of the Hytera platform, it is. And the platform across the product line is actually basically the exciter section, the receiver board, and all the VSP modulators. It's all one. It's a Linux-based platform, so that that can be written and overwritten start to finish. But again, it's a completely digitally synthesized radio. So if you decided that AM was important to you, you could technically rewrite the software and do AM on VHF or UHF or anything you like. Because really, it's a software-defined radio, just like you find out here with the Flex SDRs and all those type of radios. Literally, when the software changes, the functionality of the radio changes.
Question back there?
That mobile repeater, the 110-watt repeater,
Yes.
is that more or less for local use, or can you tie that into a network and talk around the world on it?
I don't believe it has has an EW capability at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, it does?
It's actually in the CPS, the latest CPS has it, protocol for it, and you can
Well, there you go.
Ethernet port, so you have to have some type of radio or something.
I'd like to find a waterproof Ethernet cable.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it.
Really, I mean, I got a chance to pick one up and play with it out at IWC in Las Vegas last year. And, you know, there were some covers on it that screws, and I didn't bring my security bit driver with me to take it apart in the display booth, but, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it's in there. It's a computer chipset.
It would be cool
Motorola
later on down the
is
road.
in their chipsets as well. I mean, the MTR 3000 is basically a board swap on the existing MTR 2000 platform, which has been around for years. So.
Later on down the road, it'd be cool if they put in a wireless card or team up with some kind of carrier and have it built in so that you can just
I could definitely see something like that happening. We see a lot of technology convergence really going on with, you know, a lot of these digital radio modes. Again, these radio conversations, when you translate them back to data usage, are very, very basic amounts of data. Compared to modern web browsing and everything else, it's very low data rate usage. Going up to currently use a cellular modem with relatively low throughput, high latency.
It's like what, like 10K per time slot, I think?
Yeah.
Yes, it's somewhere down there. I mean, you know, we were trying to get some estimates for cellular modem usage, in your case. Estimated monthly data usage charge. So it's pretty light. I think the numbers we talked about were max numbers, two simultaneous time slots for key down, 7 by 24. So that's the idea. Question back there?
Yeah, just out of interest, do any of these radios also submit, have conventional FM as part of them?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and they have analog frequencies in them, simplex analog, simplex digital. We'll do a demonstration.
Except for the SL, that'll only be digital.
Yes,
SL,
yeah, this one is digital only, this slim line, and it's only UHF. But, it's really for on-campus, local usage.
The Hytera just released their X phone, which is a slimline platform. You know, it's got 4 watts of VHF, UHF, and it also has the analog capability in it. It's up to 2 watts of silicon. The reason for that is these being TDMA radios, the reason we get twice the battery life on these radios is because the transmitter is only on 40% of the time. You know, there's a slight spacing between the transmitter bursts and the receiver bursts, so really the transmitter duty cycle is much less, uses a lot less battery. But also, in the case of a smaller platform radio, heat dissipation being consideration, because the transmitter is on a much lower duty cycle, you don't have to worry about dissipating as much heat, which is why that's not digital only. There's no place to put the heat.
Question? The SDR platform, is that specific to Hytera, or is that something that Motorola is also doing?
Motorola has their own SDR platform that they roll out into their radios. Hytera has their own for their, basically they built their own hardware platforms and they develop within that sandbox.
Yeah, I can't speak to it, this was not my involvement when I was an engineer with Motorola. It had nothing to do with the, we'll call it commercial market type device. I don't know, what the implications is, but the system point of view is,
Just curious what the price range is for the software.
Some of the Hytera is actually free to release, as long as you have a Hytera product, and that's maintained through GE network. So typically what we would do is, you set up a distribution list, just keep you enrolled on the list. If there's something new, we give you an FTP site, download the updates, and you can update your own radios.
So the update has to be done through a computer, it can't do it over the.
No, it's on over the air. It's done through a USB cable. USB cables, at least for these radios, are about $40. And again, the device natively speaks USB. You thread the cable onto the side, you plug it into a computer, you hear Windows go doo-doo, and it shows that it's connected to a Hytera radio. So it's native USB. There's not a whole lot of additional onboarding. The same goes for Motorola.
Yeah, the repeaters can be programmed over the network, so it's programmed over IP. You can update the code plug, the firmware, add frequencies or change frequencies, and perform all of that over the internet. There are some subscribers that allow you to program over the internet as well. So that
Forgetting that the tier 3 category dealing with the trunking system, subscribers not the much larger part of the population, because as a network administrator dealing with, say, even 300 radios. If any of you have ever had to do programming for your amateur radio, you know what it's like trying to find 300 people and get them all together at the same time. Right? So, you know, as a network management, code plug management, Motorola has got a platform for it. Hytera also does. Hytera has a repeater diagnostics software that allows some reconfiguration over the, you know, over the network. There is. These portable radios, the radio only 1 watt, at which point we just run on the repeaters. It has 2 or 3 stages of dynamic power control, and you can define what the SWR point is that it calls back. If it's a 2 1, and you get 7 watts, it lets you program it either ratio or wattage. Then you can tell it what you want to roll power back. And again, obviously, with repeater diagnostics, you can do it Motorola here, they can send you an email, you can do all this different stuff that obviously you couldn't do with an analog repeater. You'll know when lightning hits your machine at 3 in the morning. Or if it just drops off the network, you know it got hit. But you know, it'll actually send you an email, let you know what's going on. It does want to self-tests. I'm sure the Motorola's do as well. I was originally a Motorola technician. I haven't worked with Turbo products since probably mid-2009. So I'm a little rusty with what's new on those platforms. But even in the primitive stages, that was part of the part of the standard. Yes, sir.
As you commented, I've seen in the past, and maybe both of you have any input, is some of the manufacturers, Motorola in particular, is putting their own proprietary bells and whistles. How much is any of that any ham radio use at this point?
Right now, voice-wise, you know, again, being amateur radio operators, we're not allowed to use encryption. So really, the voice mode, it doesn't do anything for us because everything we do is clear. The only thing I'm aware of right now that's going to affect us as amateur radio operators is that Motorola has a proprietary header at the beginning of their text messaging format. And you know, I actually haven't tried it myself, but I believe if you send a Motorola text message back to a Hytera radio, you get like a digital bunch of weird characters followed by the actual message in clear text. However, the Hytera radio doesn't know how to encrypt that proprietary header, so you can't send a message to the Motorola radio.
Yeah, so the NC standard was for the over-the-air communication. So there are areas that there was no standard written, such as the IP site connection between 2 different repeater boxes, text messages. I'm sure there's.
The GPS is, you know, again, you have your specific. You know, the packet it sends over the air is defined. What you do with it when it comes out the other end is really a question for whoever wants to write the information. You know, again, Motorola's been on the market longer, so they've got a few more applications over that are handled.
There are already APRS systems that are on DMRs that you can put your location